Welcome to Behind the Badge with your special guest, Lieutenant Williams, your news source for all things police in the city of Fond du Lac.
It may be a new year, but we're still bringing back Behind the Badge on Fond du Lac today. Good morning, Lieutenant Williams, as you join us once again.
Good morning.
Happy New Year. Appreciate you still be willing to join us each and every Friday morning for Behind the Badge. How's the new year treating you so far?
Very busy, so I usually don't take much time off, but then when I'm off, a lot of stuff kind of accumulates, so it's going to take me a while to get out of this hole.
It's one of those things, like, you love to have those days off, but then, there's some jobs you have to where once you come back, you got a lot of work that you missed and you got to make up for.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of cool, checking in every week, and I can kind of like do a self check on the status of everything, but I think we started, one of our earliest shows was with our 3 new hires. They are now in phase 2 of training. They're all doing very well.
Nice.
So they're going along. And then Aiden Barrett, who we just met, I think the last show, he's actually out on the EVOC track. Well, actually, we use the airport in Fond du Lac County, and he's doing emergency vehicle operations. So that they get to go lights and sirens and stuff like that, which is usually kind of fun. And we've got a lot of hiring processes coming up. We have a community service officer hiring process, which will be today. And we'll have a police officer hiring process tomorrow, Saturday. So
Awesome. Sounds like you guys are keeping very busy. Let's just hop right into today's episode. I know you want to talk about something that you spend a lot of your time in your squad car.
So I don't, because I am an office guy right now, but I am in charge of squad cars now. And it seems like with my job right now, every week kind of takes on a theme. And the theme these weeks right now are squad cars, because we're doing a big changeover. So as everybody knows, police officers spend a lot of time in their squad cars. They're basically our mobile office. And it's kind of amazing all the stuff that we can actually do from our squad car. We don't really need to go to like an actual computer for anything at all. And then between us and our dispatchers access to everything, we can do everything from our squad car, which is great because that's more time that we're out on patrol and looking at things. But with that comes maintenance, and every year we get a certain amount of new squad cars, and that's what we're doing right now. We have the changeover coming, and that kind of depletes our force. So I'm trying to get these new squad cars up and going as fast as possible so that we aren't limited on the amount of squad cars we have.
All right, I got a lot of different questions I think we can go from here. Let's kind of talk about just inside the squad car itself. I haven't spent a whole lot of time in a police vehicle, but you guys like have a laptop or some kind of device like that where you guys can look up information and stuff, correct?
Yeah, so if you think about, they're all basically Ford Explorers, they're Ford Interceptors, pretty much the same thing. If you think about the space between the driver and the passenger in the front, that is basically all like hard mounted where we put our lights and sirens and stuff. And then on top of that whole, it's a whole thing that we add, is a laptop computer that's center mounted, like kind of right in front of where the radio would be and stuff.
Okay. And then if we take a look at, the sirens themselves, like how loud are they actually?
They are ridiculously loud to the point where it's kind of upsetting when people test them, because we do test them every day inside the garage, because that'll perk you up a little bit. And, we prefer them to go out to the garage. Or so if you ever see like squad cars starting the shift, you might hear that little boop boop. That kind of cool little like police, that's just them testing their siren, because you don't want to like not know your siren's working when you're headed to a hot call.
Is it one of those things to where like you're probably like a scheduled kind of like maintenance check every morning, just make sure your turn signals work, your sirens work, everything works like that?
Yeah, so we have squad checks before every shift. And we don't have enough squad cars for every single officer to have their own, so they share squads. So not only is that squad car usually getting checked by one person, but it's getting checked by 3 people almost every day.
All right, so you kind of covered my next question. So not each kind of duo for their shift, like they'll share that car. Like first shift will share a car with second shift, and they'll share a car with third shift more often than not.
Right, and there are some exceptions, like all of our SROs, because they don't need as much equipment in theirs, but they actually get their own squad car assigned to them. Our K9 officers, obviously, they have to have a special car that's made. They get their own squads assigned to them. And some of our upper admin that might have to respond from home and stuff like that, they get their own squad cars. But for the most part, people share. And you know, that always it's always kind of funny because it does lead to some problems because some people are more cleanly than other people. So there's always you know, some squad car rants about cleanliness, and my biggest thing is flashlights. So we have flashlights in our squad cars, and they seem to just go missing. Not because people are stealing them, but you're out on a call, and you know, all of a sudden things get, you know, this flashlight goes to that car, and it gets all messed up.
Know that cleanliness thing a little bit. We share a station vehicle, and one person likes to have it a little dirtier than the other people, and you know, some people talk about it around the station. So we definitely deal with the same thing with our company vehicle. Let's talk about the side you don't want to be on if you're in the back seat of the in the police vehicle. Is it comfy? Not comfy? Like, what are we talking about back there?
Totally not comfy. So they're very hard plastic, but it's kind of, we have these new design ones where they're actually designed to fit someone with their hands behind their back. Like ever since I remember, they were designed to have someone just sit, you know, a normal person sitting there, and not designed for people with their hands behind their back. So it's kind of nice, that new design, and it's really complicated now. It looks complicated, the seat belting system, because our system, what we have, because we don't want officers to have to like reach across people's body to belt people in. So we have a system where we actually buckle the seatbelt up top, and then when they sit in, we just buckle it down low. Okay. So what is kind of awkward is someone that does not used to this setup. They're like, oh, how do I get in this? It looks like spider webs everywhere. And you know, once in a while we arrest people that are intoxicated and stuff, and that's very confusing for them, is how to get into the squad car, because they see these belts that look like they're kind of all over the place. But there's a reason for it. You know, officers are very susceptible. If you're reaching across someone, they could get bit or assaulted or something like that, and we want to minimize that opportunity.
Now, the part that kind of separates the police officer and whoever is in the back, is that like a metal kind of cage, or is it like plexiglass? What are we talking about back there?
It's kind of both, metal and plexiglass. I have been, you know, I've been an officer for 20 years. I've seen those things get tested, let's just say that, and they've always held up as far as that divider. Now, some of the other, like the sides and that, like, we've had some squads in the past that didn't have like bars on the windows and stuff, and sure enough, those are the windows that get broken and stuff by you know, unruly people, unfortunately. But luckily, I don't think we've had an incident like that for a while, because we've kind of taken the right precautions now.
Awesome, great to hear. We're talking with Lieutenant Williams for Behind the Badge on News Talk 1450 KFIZ, talking about the squad cars this morning. Let's talk about, you kind of hit on maintenance for them earlier. Do you guys do your own oil changes there? Do you guys team up with some businesses or anything like that? When you guys have problems, what happens?
So yeah, that's a good question. That's my MO, because if something happens, they contact me, and I arrange it with our city garage. So the city garage is responsible for all city vehicles, so snow plows, like anything that they have, and they actually have a couple guys that are kind of just designated for us because we have so many cars in our fleet. So I work as the kind of the go-between and schedule the maintenance and everything for things to get done, which is kind of what I'm doing. But it's hard to like shuffle like squads all the time. So I use my community service officers as much as I can for that, because there's only one of me, and you need to get dropped off or this and that. So it's complicated. And so you got, you know, just our squad fleet alone, it's like 14 cars. That's 14 oil changes. That's 14. You know, we switch to winter tires to get better grip and stuff like that. So it's just ongoing. There's always something.
And you're kind of talking about that. You said, you mentioned every year you get new squad cars. How many were we looking at this year?
4.
So, well, then that means, like, you talked about having 14. Now you have 18, or will you guys push some of those older ones out to the pasture? What happens?
So yeah, that's a good question. So we replace 4 of our current squads, and then those that we replace actually either become community service officer vehicles or SRO vehicles. So they get kind of the ones with the higher mileage, because they're not putting on as much, or you know, they're not as needed. And then those ones that they replace go out of commission, get sold in like in auctions and stuff like that.
Gotcha. Good to know. And as we're kind of talking about the vehicles, you look around the state, they're all darker colors.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm originally from Illinois. We're talking about white police vehicles. Here we see darker colors. Is that due to snow during the wintertime, or is this for some other reason?
No, you know what it is? It's trends. Like, so the biggest trend probably 10, 15 years ago was going back to the black and white vehicles. Like, every department started doing it, and now I'm starting to see a trend back to like the all black or like low profile design, but it's all has to do with, a chief or administration, how they want that to look.
Okay.
So there's nothing specific by the state that regulates as far as what exactly it's got to look like. I mean, obviously it's got to be for, if we're going to get in pursuits and stuff or make traffic stops, it's got to be marked a certain way, and then it does have to have the red and blue lights and everything. So so it's got to have all that, but other than that, they leave it up to the jurisdictions to figure out what they want to do for the marking.
Awesome. We're talking squad cars with Lieutenant Williams on Behind the Badge. Is there anything else that I haven't asked about that you think is a good thing to know about him?
One question I get from the public is, and maybe I could have someone that knows the radar system better than I, but a lot of people get confused because they believe that officers can't run radar while we're moving, and that's actually not the case.
Okay.
So there are, on all of our squad cars have their own radar system, so we can see there's something called stationary radar and moving radar. So there's a little button you push to defer the difference between them. But yeah, we can actually, if I'm driving down the road and you're driving at me, if I have that moving radar on, I can actually determine what your speed is through radar. So there's always these misconceptions I run into. People saying, well, they can't do that. They can, well, actually. Yeah, we can. We can do that. So technology has been ever since I've been a police officer, so for at least 20 years. The radar technology has been around forever, and it hasn't, and that's always been a capability that officers have had. So it's always like, if people just came from their family gatherings and stuff like that, you always get that one family member or something like that. Like, well, I got pulled over, and on this case, moving radar, that's a thing, and that works. So.
Gotcha. I mean, speaking of radars, someone was in a hurry going through Fond du Lac on the interstate the other day. You see that 125?
Was that the chase one, or?
It just happened on Sunday.
Okay. See, I'm coming back on Monday. I don't get everything, so you would be amazed at the speeds that you get. Luckily, in the city, most people aren't getting up to one unless they're on Johnson Street. In that case, they're gonna hurt somebody. But I've seen very quick speeds on over that Johnson Street bridge and stuff like that. You get people get up in the 60s, and that gets so unsafe at that point because there's so many stops or people that could be walking. But out in the county, they definitely deal with speeds of over 100. Often actually. So
awesome, Lieutenant Williams. I appreciate the time this morning. We'll chat next week. Thanks for the time.
Yep. Thank you.